sometimes we say yes too quickly to things that we know we should have said no to.
It's not easy to leave your place of comfort, but don't waste time in places you really don't belong for fear of starting over.
There's always red flags in the beginning that come up.
Welcome to episode 23, Adventures in Tahoe.
Episode 23, I think I wrote down episode 24.
Oh my gosh. Episode 24 is definitely coming up. We have a surprise for you on that one because it is not an adventure, but it is an adventure in life. So I wasn't going to drop that till later, but maybe you have a different idea.
That usually happens. So rapid fire, quick question. What was more frustrating, the run on Sunday or the tech setting up for the podcast this morning?
Definitely the tech. It seemed like it was a little more agitating. So, oh my gosh. So, okay, before we get into any of this, first of all, I just want to say welcome. If you pressed play out of millions of podcast options, we are super excited to have you here with us at Embers Rising. So super thank you to our listeners for pushing the play button and just being here with Dave and I, because this is where our hearts are at. We love doing this with you, and we're on the journey with you together. So we are streaming through what's coming in our life to get it to you and all of your adventures to fuel the flame inside. So welcome.
Thank you for being here. And playing play on this podcast is the only logical decision. So why would you go anywhere else?
All right. So, okay. Training update. Where are we at, Dave? Tell me where you're at in the training. I know that you have our race coming up, a 50K, your first trail run race.
So this week I feel like I'm going backwards. And I guess sometimes you have to take a couple of steps back to take a step forward. I had the injury in Tahoe with my back, and that prevented me from doing a few things, plus travel and work and blah, blah, blah. We just haven't gotten as much time on feet in the last 2 weeks as I think I probably would have liked to, for a various number of reasons. But we had a long run on Sunday, 16 miles, 3,000 feet vertical. I felt pretty good, but my legs were tired. Today I did the recovery run thing. And the only good part of that was there might have been a moose.
There is actually a moose in our area. That's so funny. Yes, there is a moose. I did see a sign of a moose. So when I came back,
Do you mean
I was
the sign
like,
on the trail or the actual sign?
There was an actual sign, which is actually pretty funny. Hopefully we'll put that up in the video so you could see that. But there was actually another sign that I mentioned. Did you see the dropping of the moose?
I didn't identify it as a moose dropping. I just identified it as poop. But you being the adventure guide for so many years up in Glacier, you've probably run into a moose before.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so many mooses and adventure guiding days in Yellowstone, all over. There was always moose. Yeah, moose happenings. So yeah, moose sightings were everywhere. But anyway.
But I've got to say, so in our trail complex, the city has put up a big warning sign that says, caution, there is a large moose that's been sighted multiple times in this area. And I just love that about Boise, Idaho, right? Like, because you have to identify it for the people that have moved from California, because they look at it and they're like, someone's cow is loose.
It's so true.
Or they go, oh, it's a moose. Let's run up there and try and put our arms around it and take a selfie with it.
That's why there's like bullet points, like don't get close, don't take a picture, all those things. No, it doesn't say don't take a picture, but yeah, it's by the river for sure. So I don't know. Anyway, thank you for the update on the training plan. I am feeling good from our training. I think there was a lot of recovery that we modified in our strategy for our race training, as well as I've been doing a lot of PT for my quad tendonitis rehab. But we did some big things in Tahoe that we're going to break down for you all. And this was a really good run out the gate this last weekend, getting out there and getting like 4 hours in up on the mountain on the race course. So feeling good today. And I'm following a 50K plan from Sally McRae. Love that. I'm 9 weeks in, and we're just kind of re-strategizing day by day, week by week on kind of how our bodies are feeling, where we're at. And hopefully we'll be set to go.
Come race day, I'm going to grind it out. It doesn't really matter if I have to crawl or walk.
You may be walking the whole thing,
And a few people have said, like, what are you shooting for? And my answer is going to be the same until race day, and that is making the cutoff at the aid station. As long as I can do that and finish the race in time, I'm going to be good to go. So, yeah. Eddie McRae, if you want to come out and run this with me, it's going to be horrible. But what I did hear is that Sally gave you a birthday present, which was you could pick an ultra and she would come. So we've got a extra spare bedroom. I will make steaks. We will run that thing in September. And that's it. So come on, let's go.
Great invite. Yeah, it's actually been a little bit tough training right now because we have smoky fire weather. And so it's a little bit hard to breathe when you're out on the hillsides and the mountains with all the smoke coming in, not only from our own fires in the valley, but also from Oregon and the California fires kind of settling here in the Boise Valley. So whoa, just makes it a little bit tough out there. But it's gorgeous. It's hot. It's summer. It's a beautiful time of the year. Can't complain.
Fires and mooses and injuries. Oh,
that's
my.
Right. So welcome. If this is your first time pressing play and you're listening to us having a talk story about our training, Dave and I are want to welcome you. I'm the host of Embers Rising. You're also a co-host and host of Embers Rising. Welcome to this podcast.
Yeah, I feel like I'm probably at least interviewing for this position. So, I am on episode 23. And I got to say, the working hours aren't great. The pay isn't great, but I'm having a great time.
Okay, that's good. Well, today is exciting because we're diving in to the world of resilience, determination, and drawing on a lot of the inspiration I feel from the incredible athletes that are training right now and performing right now at the Olympics. And I think that's just, we have to touch on that because that's what's happening right now. So whether you're chasing your own personal dream, your goal, or, looking to spark something brand new inside, you're moving forward with us, and this episode is for you. We want to highlight our last adventure that we just came from in Tahoe and share some updates in case you might be thinking about an adventure heading there, or maybe some things that you haven't done. So we the whole mission for Embers Rising is all about fueling the flame inside and really going for the gold that's inside of you. No matter what that is, it doesn't have to be an adventure. Dave and I are just, focused on working together as a power couple and then building those adventures together, and just sharing that with y'all. So let's dive in.
Let's
dive in. So before we actually get into this, that's what this episode is about, is our Tahoe adventures. We got some really cool stuff to share with you. But I do want to recognize some of our community out there. Thank you for being part with us, listeners, and everyone that's engaging with us on social media. So I really want to do some shout outs here. I had posted an adventure athlete training tip out there on my Instagram. So this is from Instagram. I believe her name is Heather Wild. She says, I don't know what I was talking about, but I believe I was talking about training in Snow Canyon last year when we were maybe in Snow Canyon, St. George, Utah, and we were on our mountain bikes. And she says, yes, any big goal or undertaking, whether it's endurance sports, a PhD program, parenthood, or entrepreneurship, and many other things, will show us who we are and what we're made of as easy as they break us down and challenge us to get back up and put ourselves back together over and over again. Thank you, Heather. That is so well said. And I totally agree with that.
And it goes perfectly with today's episode for sure.
It absolutely does. We had a lot of pivots that we had to make in Tahoe, so we're excited. So thank you, Heather Wild, for sharing that with us. Absolutely agree with that. And then we've got, I believe this is from Instagram. I think that last one's actually from LinkedIn. That was from LinkedIn. So that was Heather Wild from LinkedIn. This is from Instagram. Uprooted Traveler says, I love this perspective. It's easy to get derailed when something doesn't go according to plan. Also, so great for this episode, Dave, but it's so much better to think of it as an opportunity. So thank you, Uprooted Traveler. And Hannah iPower. I love that handle. Thank you so much for the tip. Thank you, Hannah, iPower. It's great to have you. And then, of course, AmplifyU.io. Thanks for the tip. It's always nice to see you out there shouting us out, too. So let's see. I've got a couple more. There was a LinkedIn post that I had put out for a signboard that we shot, I want to say, in Canyonlands, maybe the Needles District. And a signboard that said, don't waste time. in places you don't belong for fear of starting over. And how many of us have stayed in the same place or have kept the same client or have done the same project or have just gone on along with something because you're afraid to start over? I mean, raise your hand. Totally, that's me. And really cool, Gabriella Parker. I don't know how to say your middle name. I'm so sorry. Gabriella Hamilo. I love your name. It's beautiful. Parker says, as Miss Scott Peck said, until you value yourself, you won't value your time. Until you value your time, you will not do anything with it. Gosh, that is so powerful. Thank you, Gabriella. What a powerful statement. I love that. And then we have Babu Lau says, your words are a great reminder to align our work with our values and dreams. Thank you for sharing. And I totally agree with that. There's so many times where we don't align our work with our values or the clients that we take on or the projects that we take on or the things that we go out and do because we're looking at the eye candy of what it is, but it doesn't really align with our dreams behind it because our dreams are so much harder to go after. Do you agree, Dave?
I mean, when it comes to doing things, especially business-wise, sometimes we say yes too quickly to things that we know we should have said no to.
Yeah.
And we'll eventually have to say no to because there's always red flags in the beginning that come up. And you're just like, this is out of alignment with the direction that I'm heading. However, there is some amount of money on the table. And how many times have we had the conversation where we're like, this is just not a good fit for us, but it's a good fit for the bank account, right?
Right.
And so we'll probably be able to point this client, this project in the right direction. And you can't, right? Like if somebody else already has their mind made up and that's the core and the essence of who they are, they're probably never going to change.
Yeah, so true.
It's been a lot of painful lessons. And I feel like we should probably write a book called How to Massively Fail as quickly as possible.
So it's a great reminder. It's not easy to leave your place of comfort, but don't waste time in places you really don't belong for fear of starting over. It's a great saying, and it's really true. And we've learned so many lessons of doing that.
What a great number of shout outs. I love
the fact that
we have a community that is sort of, self-selecting in the way they communicate with us. And yeah, there's some haters and things like that out there, but there's just not much of that because our goal is not to be or say or do things that are out of alignment with us, that are, controversial, and it's just clickbait, right? So much out there is just clickbait. People are saying something to trigger some sort of response because, good news, bad news, doesn't matter what people put in the comments. It does help the algorithm expand your reach. I just guess we're not willing to play that game. So
totally. Well, okay. I do want to make an announcement too, before we dive into Tahoe, because I know you guys are probably excited. I'm excited to share this with you. So many cool things. There's a couple of changes that are happening. I have a YouTube channel. If you haven't connected with it, it's just YouTube Wendy J. Just type that in and you'll find it. And we are moving the podcast to its own platform on YouTube, its own channel called Embers Rising Podcast. And the reason we're doing that is because we're changing up our channel, the Wendy J channel, to be more of a docuseries about the adventures that we do, as well as a lot of the power couple coaching that we provide. So we wanted to split it up so those that were just interested in the podcast could have a place to go that just listen to the podcast. So we're trying to make that big change. We have a whole launch protocol happening this month that all of that information should be done by the end of this month. It is August 2024, so we should be moved over by the end of this month with all the episodes on YouTube. That's a big change for us.
And it should be easier for people to sort through content, not come up with like, what is this all about, right? Versus that. And yes, we are marketing pros, so we do recognize that the long form content not getting view-through rates like we'd like it to is bringing the whole channel down in terms of algorithms. So it's strategic from an algorithmic standpoint also.
Okay, Dave just talked technical and went like way above and beyond me. So
you know exactly what I'm talking
the
about.
goal for our channel, for the Wendy J side on the YouTube channel, is really to give you guys a cool, just peek into all the adventures and races and stuff that we're doing, and then of course provide a lot of the power couple tips that we have. And I have so many things we want to share, and I want to grow that, and I'm so excited that you're on the journey with us. So that's just coming soon, but I had to make the announcement. All the episodes for Embers Rising will be on its own YouTube channel. You can always find everything on Spotify and Apple, but just going forward, want to make that announcement. So let's dive into this, because Tahoe, we're going to share with you our breakdown of pretty much activities, where we stayed, what we recommend, what the trails were like, what we did, what got busy, and just kind of give you that Tahoe breakdown if you're considering taking an adventure to Tahoe.
And what was the core reason for this trip over to Tahoe?
Yeah, so we've been doing this for maybe, I wouldn't say like 4 years in a row, but some like 4 or 5 years, and somewhere in there, almost every year for the summer, we head over to the lake, the biggest body of water that we can get to.
And why do we do that? What are we celebrating?
And we're celebrating my birthday.
Okay, there we go. That's what I'm fishing for.
So I didn't really want to go this year for other reasons, but Dave was like, we're going. I want you to see your dad. My dad lives in California, and I had my stepsister come up, and that was great. So we ended up, staying in Tahoe. So first thing first, we normally stay at the lake. So we have loved staying on the northwest side of the Tahoe Lake on the California side.
Think Kings Beach or
Tahoe
City, Dollar Point, to be more specific.
Yeah, we have loved being close to the lake, but a lot of that has changed now with the HOAs, where the beaches are closed to the condos that you rent. So it's starting to make not sense to stay down at the lake when you don't get beach access conveniently at the condo that's close to the beach.
or conveniently, even last year, the people left out that we didn't get use of the pool anymore either, because
right.
The local residents don't like the riffraff coming in from, Idaho and swimming in their pool.
So this year we booked differently. We decided, hey, let's have a new experience. Let's book at North Star. And it was kind of between North Star and Palisades, at Olympic Valley, but we chose North Star, and we chose right. I really fell in love with North Star and the convenience of North Star.
Yeah, what an awesome spot. So, you're right there for the mountain biking. You're right there for the hiking. It's only 10 minutes down to the water, and another 10 minutes the other direction, you get into Truckee, where the shopping and all that sort of stuff, like groceries, all that is available.
Convenience of North Star was epic.
And it was super hot, I think close to 100 every day. And up in the mountains of North Star, you definitely got a lot cooler evenings, because a lot of things don't have air conditioning over there anymore.
Yeah.
We didn't have air conditioning either.
So hot at our condo.
It was. The
I think the food was like melting inside.
The afternoons were like, let's just go to the pool.
Yeah.
But fortunately, like by 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, we were able to throw open all the windows. The bedrooms are downstairs. It was nice and cool. So it was tolerable.
Yeah, and I do think the convenience of staying at North Star, one of the, there was so many reasons, but, we found a great rate. We found a great place. It was easy to get to on the trails, cycling, mountain bikes. Being in the village of North Star is pretty awesome. We got a pass to the rec center for the gym, the pool. You kind of got everything there, as well as all the shops for shopping. There was also I believe it was the Tahoe 100 mountain bike race was happening when we were there, which was like 100 miles on mountain bikes,
which was cool.
That was really fun to be around. Yeah. So, it just gives you the venue. If you feel like you want to be close to a venue, you have that. Plus the golf course was there. I don't golf, but the golf course is also there, which is a beautiful golf course that like dips down from North Star into the Truckee Valley. It was actually pretty cool on that backside. So,
and a couple of decent restaurants there, and just all around, there's a lot of conveniences. And I think I'd probably do that again over the lake.
Yeah, for sure. I think so too. I think it's easy to drive to the lake and grab your time on the lake when you want the time, whether it's a sunset or you're going to do an activity. It's kind of, I feel it's like best to just grab the time and go, but then spend your majority of time in a place that you can just walk out your door and do whatever, And a lot of the times in the condos that were closer to the lake, we couldn't. It was a little more packed in,
Right. I did miss the, sitting in the evening and being able to see the lake.
I know,
but I
that
didn't
was,
miss
yeah, it was kind of a bummer.
the noise that comes with that, and
Yeah, it was pretty quiet where we were.
yeah, super quiet.
Which was really nice. So, okay, so that's really where we stayed. North Star is a great place if you're looking to stay over in Tahoe and you want to kind of be near the trails. Another thing I really loved about North Star was you're on the ski mountain. So trails are right there. The gondola's there. You can do anything up to, I think the highest peak was over or maybe close to 11,000 feet. So you are right there to go straight on up to do whatever you want. I mean, it's amazing. And they're really amazing also with their, I was really impressed because I love first aid and they were so on top of their first aid. They had these ATVs that were running up and down the mountain all day long. They have a mountain biking camp that's from I think it said Thursdays to Sundays or Mondays or something like it. It was 4 days a week. Boy, they were running those first aid all day long. I stopped and talked to
the mountain biking up there is awesome, but there's some super technical stuff.
I would say it's advanced riding for
way
sure.
beyond what I'm willing to do most of the time. A lot of wooden ramps, a lot of airtime, a lot of rock. All recipe for exciting time.
So what did we do, Dave? I was going to kind of start with our Tahoe City adventure because we kind of kicked off my birthday with my dad and his girlfriend and my stepsister, and we all went, she didn't come that day, but we all went over to rent e-bikes in Tahoe City because there's a great trail called the Truckee River Trail that goes from Tahoe City all the way along the river, which is so beautiful and kind of in the trees along the highway. You wind yourself all the way up to Olympic Valley and then cut over into Olympic Valley into Palisades.
And so, you're next to this beautiful stream the whole time.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Part of it, a lot of people float, so there's a lot of people in the water, and it's super clear.
Restrooms all the way up.
There's restrooms, and the e-bike thing, especially with Dad and Peggy. I mean, it was.
We had to do it.
We had to do it that way, and it's just a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun,
and it's so nice to pass real bikers.
It is, right?
And be that person on the e-bike, right? Because I'm always like, get out of the way, you e-bikers.
The Truckee River Trail is really, though, very beautiful. It kind of winds itself, like I said, all the way up to Olympic Valley. And with the e-bikes, it just made it a lot easier. And it was really fun for a family to do. It's a great family event to do. You get that river view. You're looking over at the summer floaters that are having a great time floating down the river. It's just a fantastic experience to be close to that. And then when you get into Olympic Valley and you make the turn and cross the street, you just end up continuing on this trail up to Palisades. And it's kind of a great destination. We like doing that because you can, shop, get lemonades, kind of cool off, all of that. It's a great take your family up and you even grab a lunch if you want, and just kind of destination to be, off the e-bikes.
Yeah, it's a good e-bike adventure.
Yeah,
so
totally. And then riding down is such a blast. I remember riding down this time, and when we came, I think it was halfway into town, there was a huge group of rafters that had all pulled together, and maybe it's 50 rafts. It was huge, a group, and they were all singing happy birthday to somebody that was having a birthday out there on a raft. There's all these people going for it, and I really wanted to just take my phone out and shoot that video for y'all, but I couldn't get my phone quick enough, and it was all happening, and I'm just riding my bike past it. It was so much fun, though. It was so much fun.
I thought they were singing happy birthday to you.
I know. I wish it would have been me, but
how dare them. So, and if you have older people in your group, right? Dad's 70 something, so they do just fine, right?
Yeah.
And what bike shop did we use?
I want to say Olympic Valley Bike Shop.
Valley Bike Shop. We've used them for 4 years. So,
yeah, they have great bikes for those that may have trouble getting on a bike, where they call it a step-through e-bike.
I thought we called those girls' bikes.
Yeah, or girls' bikes. But there is, like I say, my dad is not going to swing his hip around a bike, so to be able to step through. And then Peggy was, quite a bit shorter, so she needed something also small. But yeah, they do a great job. They set you up, and you just park your car and grab the e-bike and go. It's great. It's beautiful. So Tahoe City also has a lot of history in Tahoe City. So that historic bridge that we crossed over, you can also book a river rafting trip there. There's a lot of restaurants. It's a great place to get started enjoying Tahoe, is in Tahoe City. It's great. So that was definitely one thing on our list to do.
Day one, next day was actually your birthday.
Next day, we did a stand-up paddle tour at Crystal Bay, which was from North Star to Kings Beach down south now, was maybe a 15-minute drive.
Yeah, if that, maximum. So.
Not that far. And there's a great place that we like to rent from. Shout out to Tahoe Paddle and Oar. We have rented from them. Those guys are great. They just moved into a brand new building. It's huge. And they do such a good job taking care of everything you need. The best thing is you just show up in the parking lot, park your car, walk over to the beach, and all of their rentals are on the beach. So you just pick it up.
All of the equipment's right on the beach, so you don't need to pick it up and carry it any length of distance.
And this year on our walk back, we actually had a faucet to use to rinse our feet, everything off from the sand, which we didn't have that last time. They were routing us another direction. So this was actually fabulous. I was like, yes.
Sweet. And we brought our own paddle boards. Wendy and I did.
Yeah,
anyway.
Dave and I brought our own paddle boards this time. We used our compressor at the car, blew them up the parking lot, and then just walked them over. Dad and Peggy ended up grabbing a double kayak, and then my stepsister just grabbed a kayak for that experience. And you really just go one way down over to Crystal Bay. It's absolutely gorgeous. The water was so clear and beautiful. It's just... Yeah.
No wind that day.
No wind that day.
Good swimming, good pictures. And,
great photos, yeah.
We always get going early, 9:30-ish. Because you got to wait till they open.
Yeah.
And 3 hours is all you need, and then you're ready for lunch.
Yeah. No, it was perfect. It's a great thing to do from Kings Beach. It's very family friendly. I highly recommend it. And then when you're done at Kings Beach, there's a lot of restaurants around there so that you can, always grab something there. I love Kings Beach also for sunset, for walks. There's a lot of little trails along the beach that you can grab. So Kings Beach is a great hub also just to get to know Tahoe on that west side. So that was something else that we did. We loved it. It was really nice. Oh, gosh. Okay. I'm trying to think. Actually, we kind of missed sharing something, and I'm just going to go back because we're not doing it. So my brain thinks chronological order. Dave does not. I think in step 0 through whatever. And Dave's like 5, 8, 20, wherever he's at, he can pick up. He is great like that. I am so not. I am like so chronological. It's just irritating.
Yes. And I know what you're about to say. We actually had a great run that we put in there
yes.
before both of those things.
Yes, it was the Brockway Trail to Picnic View Trail, which you park. And we did this run. I think it was like the day after we did this run. Straight up, it's about 830 feet, a mile and a half. And you park at the summit of Brockway Summit, and you cross the road. You get on Brockway Trail. It goes up to Picnic View Rock, and it's about a mile and a half up through 830 feet. And it is beautiful. You see the whole view of Tahoe Lake from the north side looking south.
Yeah, spectacular, well-maintained trail.
Oh, yeah.
So as long as you've got
rocky,
healthy older people,
you can do
it's
it.
Doable.
One step at a time. Yeah.
There's not many parking spots because it's right off the road. So get on it early, especially in the summertime. It warms up quickly up there.
But you're in the trees. If you get there early, you'll be in the shade in those trees, which is so wonderful.
Yeah, I think we hit it at like 6:30 or 7 or something like that day, and we were the first or second car in the parking lot. Strangely enough, I think the last time we hiked that, it took about 50 minutes. We ran it this time. It took
like 20 minutes?
20 minutes or something. I was like, I can't believe we're up here.
And then when we came down, we decided not to go back to the parking lot. We wanted to explore another trail, continue on Brockway Trail to see if we could check out this Martis Peak Trail that we had heard about, but we had never been on. We saw signs for it. So we're like, let's head that way. However, when we got there, it was a 3-way split. It was like trail 1, 2, or 3. It literally was this like 3-way split. And I chose, let's say, trail 3 going down, which looked like on my map the right way. And we went out and then we turned around and came back because it was not the right way. But it was a beautiful run anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I can't fault that. Besides, we had to meet Daddis, who was coming into town.
Yeah. So we didn't make it to the peak, but we did get close to the trail that it was. We just didn't. I think it was trail number 2, but we took trail number 3. But yeah, we had kind of a deadline that day, so we had to get back. Yeah.
But take note, we actually did another run out there Now we're going not in chronological
We
order.
will share that. We will share that because that ties into a whole nother thing. Remember at the beginning of this podcast, we talked about resilience and the determination and having to pivot when you need to pivot. We will talk about that. So coming back to that, yes. So yeah, we did that. We also did an incredible hike run at North Star. Why not do it where you're staying? And I did a run early that morning, and then I came back and grabbed you and Dad and Peggy, and we all did a beautiful hike up this incredible. It was kind of like what do you call it, the cat track trails?
Yeah. So up the cat track trail up underneath the chairlift.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. We got to the top of Gondola 1.
And
then we
the Tahoe
all,
Express, I think it was.
Your dad was like, I'm done with this. I'm like, no, you're not. We're getting on the gondola and going to the very top.
Yeah,
so
that was great.
They loved that.
And that's cool because we have a picture of us, and hopefully we'll get in this video of us at the top of, I don't remember that second gondola's name, but we went to 11,000 feet, and it says 11,000 feet of love. Do you remember that sign that we took a picture at? It was really sweet. So we took a picture of us up there. That was beautiful. And the view from the top up there is gorgeous. I mean, we got to go to a couple of lodges. They're not open, but you could, go out on the decks and take a look of the view over into Truckee on the Truckee side. And we actually got to see over to Immigrant Pass, which was on the Olympic Valley side. So we're actually looking over that pass. That was amazing. It was incredible.
It was awesome. So another reason to stay at North Star. And no, they're not sponsoring this episode, but if you're listening, you should be.
So yeah, that was really cool. And then we had another adventure. I want to say, was that Emerald Bay the next day?
It was. So
did we do Emerald Bay?
Dad had to leave because
Dad left.
Had a little ditty that he needed.
I want to say the next morning we did Emerald Bay adventure.
So again, up at O'Dark 30 because we know there's not much parking.
Oh, this is a great story. Yeah.
And loaded the paddle boards in because they're in backpacks. We weren't sure if we were going to use them or not because the rumor was we could rent them there.
Oh, I can't wait to tell you that. Yeah.
And off we went, skirting the west side of the lake through Tahoe City and down toward South Lake Tahoe.
Yeah, it was from North Star. It was a 60-minute drive to Emerald Bay parking lot, which is actually called the Vikings Home parking lot, which is very limited parking. You need to get there first thing in the morning if you want to stay all day or use the beach access. We had also made a huge mistake by passing that parking lot and wrapping ourselves around the lake, not knowing that was the parking lot we needed to park in because the map actually showed that you could just drive down to the beach. And we're like, oh, where is that? Well,
wouldn't that be nice?
That is not necessarily true. That drive.
It's not true at all.
It's not true at all. That there is a road, however, it's closed, so you still have to park at the Vikings Home. That's the only parking lot available to park out up there to make the 1 mile, I think, 0.2 down to the beach that you have to walk down.
So we quickly made a U-turn, made our way back to that parking lot, and I fought off some old people to make sure that I got a parking spot. There was a lot of activity there. It was still early in the morning.
It was still early there.
8-ish, but you don't want to wait much past that hour if you want that parking lot. There is parking out on the road. It looks extremely dangerous.
Yes, I would not recommend
the
road.
And when we drove out of there, people were parked sporadically for a mile.
A mile, yeah. So I would definitely get there early. There is a parking fee. I think it was $10. And we just paid the $10. And then we kind of checked it out. So in Emerald Bay is the only inlet truly of the Tahoe Lake. So meaning there's the lake and then there's an inlet at the very south tip of it that kind of just makes a little bay, and it has an island in it called Fannette Island. And it's actually very beautiful. Fannette Island has a tea house that is an old stone structure that's still there from, I think her name was, when I researched it, Mrs. Knight's Tea House.
Good night, nurses.
So Knight, Mrs. Knight. But anyway, yeah, so we paid the $10 parking, and this is kind of funny because there was a ranger booth there, a park ranger booth, and I went over there and nobody was there. And so we waited and then somebody showed up. And I visited with her, and while I was visiting with her, kind of talking about the trail down, and I was reading a sign next to it that said you can rent kayaks and stand-up boards down there, but it was first come, first serve, no reservations. Dave and I were like, well, why don't we hike one of our backpacks, stand-up boards, down, and we'll just use the company, whoever it is down there, their compressor to blow up the stand-up board.
Yeah, and then we'll rent another one, and
we'll rent another
it'll just
one.
make life easier because Dave will carry everything up and down the hill.
This was the original plan. So Dave straps on this backpack with a stand-up board, which we had never used before. So we're like, okay, we don't know how awkward. And if you've ever carried a stand-up board on your back, it is kind of awkward, just the way it loads.
And the packaging was made to carry a paddleboard. It wasn't necessarily made with backpackers in mind, right?
Right, yeah.
But we did get down about, 10 or 15 minutes, down
the trail,
down the pretty steep trail. And I stopped.
You did.
And I said, this is silly. We have 2 boards. We have everything we need. We have a compressor. Like I can carry it all. And by carry it all, I mean, you could carry one also. And so we stopped. I dropped the pack that I had and jogged back up to the car in my Chacos, as much as you can jog in Chacos, and grabbed the other board and the portable compressor.
Yeah.
Because I'm not using a pump.
Right.
And shout out to the compressor company. It's called the Shark.
I think it's the Whale Shark.
The Whale Shark.
Yeah.
It's like the size of a laptop, and it pumps up 5 boards. It's incredible. Anyway, we ended up going down all the way, both of us carrying a board, and boy, was that a good call.
It was. I will say the mile, the 1.2 mile, whatever it is, hike down is about 400 feet. So very quickly you're dropping. It is steep. It is paved until you get down to the bottom. Then it turns into dirt. But
pave-ish. Yeah.
Pave-ish. There's sections.
The water crosses it a couple times. And it's beautiful the whole time.
The view is incredible. Absolutely. But yeah, we hiked our boards down there, and then us being new to the area, we were trying to assess like where everyone was, like the beach, the visitor. There is a visitor center down there. It wasn't open when we were there, but there were some restrooms down there. And then we found this beautiful trail that went over to like the perfect picnic table underneath a tree in the shade by its own beach by itself. We were like, oh my gosh, this is so golden. We can't even believe it. And we're like, nobody's claimed this? Like, put our boards there. This is great.
And it had a perfect view of the place where they rent paddle boards, and they had everything you need except paddle boards. They did have some kayaks,
and they weren't even open.
It was another good call in terms of, let's just carry our own gear.
Yeah, it was good to be independent.
Why did we buy it anyway if we're not going to use it? So
no, it was great, and hopefully we can put this up on the video that we did. It was great. We opened up our paddle boards there. We had a great little beach to get in. The water was like 70 degrees. It was fantastic. We got in into the water and paddled around that Finette Island. It was gorgeous. Also, we had realized that the boaters cannot speed around in Emerald Bay.
Right. There's a no wake rule in there. So even though the boats toward the end of our stay started sort of streaming in with their boom boxes and beer and all of that, still,
it was pretty quiet.
At least they couldn't go 100 miles an hour. And so that was nice.
It made it really kind of chill for the stand-up boarders and the kayakers that were out there.
We paddled around the island, and there's some great places to sort of get off and jump off the rocks into the water. I found a nice big boulder sticking out of the water and just insisted that I had to get off my board in a strange sort of way and get on the rock so I get a good picture. And luckily, I ended up pulling my back in that maneuver. It's never when you're running. It's never in the gym. It's never when you're lifting something heavy. It's always when you're doing something stupid. That's when the injury occurs. And so Wendy was there. She's like, what are you doing? And then we hear the pop. And then I'm like, oh, God. Oh no. So I tried to just pretend that it wasn't happening. But it was. It was happening. Yeah. And it's that lower back pull that makes you all crooked and you can't bend over. And you're not very stable on a paddleboard when you can't use your lower back.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I feel bad about that. But other than that, though, the water was absolutely beautiful, and it's really fun to explore. You don't have to paddle to the island. You know, if you're coming with your family and you want to just keep it low key, you can just stick to the beach and paddle all the way down to the kind of end of the inlet down there. And they had like a swim roped off area for kids, and it was beautiful. It was really nice and quiet. It was very well worth it. And it is one of the top things to do in Tahoe is checking out Emerald Bay and being down there. The other cool thing about being down there is looking back up where your car is parked, up in that parking lot up there. There is a falls called Eagle Falls, and you can actually hike to the bottom of it behind the visitor center. There is a trail that hikes down to, it's called Lower Eagle Falls. And there was a huge waterfall that was coming down.
Yeah, and that's the water that goes into that inlet. We didn't make the hike up there, but I think we need to do it next time.
Yes.
And if you've been to Tahoe before, one of the other places that is spectacular is directly across the lake from Emerald, and that's Sand Harbor.
Oh, yes.
And so,
we paddled there a couple years ago.
When you only have a week or 8 days like we did, you just can't do everything.
Yeah, because there's a lot of drive time included, so we had to really think through all of that timing-wise.
But the key takeaway is if it's summer, get there early in the day on your hike, on your run, on your paddle, on your dinner reservation, whatever it is.
Yes.
Because it is maxed out.
It is maxed out.
Things are busy. And I think our takeaway, usually, even though we go for your birthday, we do it later in the season. By later in the season, I mean after August 15th or so. And just because the kids are back to school, there's way less pressure during the week.
And we've heard that reservations open up on anything that you want, like the e-bikes or the kayaks and stuff. So if you can book it later, do it. But if you have to make it the summer, you'll still have fun. You'll still find things to do. There's still plenty to do. Sand Harbor, though, if you ever paddle Sand Harbor, they ask you to be on the waiting line of the street at 7 a.m. And they are not joking. It is not 7:05. It's not 7:10. It's not 7:30. Like that lines up. I mean, we were blown away. Do you remember that a couple of years ago when they said 7 a.m.?
Yeah,
we were like, what?
Parked right on the side of the road with a million other
with
people.
With 100 other cars behind you at 7 a.m.
And
so, yeah.
when the gate opens, they all file in and
then
take up every single space. And
that's over.
That's it. Then they put the sign out that says parking lot full.
That's it.
And that is completely it.
So that's a little bit of downside of Sand Harbor. However, it is beautiful. It is beautiful. But it's probably different if you do it later in the season, like Dave said, like after August 15th, less pressure. Sand Harbor has the Shakespeare Festival as well, so that you can book a show there.
Never been to that.
That looks really cool. So
finish that day out.
I
packed the paddleboard out with my back just aching.
I know, I feel so bad.
And we had activities the next day.
Yeah.
Right. And how do you fix a broken back
in a day?
I can tell you, we did a 15-mile run.
Well, we did try to go to the hot tub at the rec center.
We did. Yeah, I did the hot tub.
We did go try to stretch out in the pool. By the way, I was doing PT there every day at the condo for my knee, and we did bring a lot of our band work. We always travel with a lot of our foam rollers and bands and that sort of thing that we can pack just to continue finding movement. Dave and I always stretch every morning wherever we're at in the world. We're always stretching, whether it's a hotel, a condo. We're always stretching in the morning together. So it's kind of I don't know. We've done that since we met.
Yeah. I've got my ball that I carry.
Carry a little ball, yeah.
And dig into my back and do some stretching. I've got a protocol that I use. If you have a bad back, look up on YouTube, mobility WOD, lower back tweak.
Mobility WOD, like W-A-D?
W-O-D.
O-D. There you go. Okay.
Kelly Starlet, I think, K-Star is the guy who does that. And that template that he uses is something that Special Forces uses, right? When you're out in the field in the middle of a war and you hurt your back, guess what? You're going to war the next day.
Right.
You don't have a chance. And so I use that template, and it does a lot for the neurological side to just open things up. So that's my pain tip.
It did help, yeah.
It definitely did help. And one of the things I have learned is the more you baby it, the longer it takes to heal, and the more bent over you are, and
the less you move, the worse it gets.
Yeah. So I'm not kidding. The next day we did a 15-mile run.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that. So listen, I have had a dream to get on the Western States Trail in Olympic Valley, and we knew we were going to be back after we did the e-bike ride. So we knew like a few days later we'd be back to Olympic Valley, and really it's been a dream. I've been so inspired by watching everyone this year doing Western States 100, and I just thought I really want to get on that trail. So our plan was to load up our packs and be out there and try to do a 4-hour, if we could get the gondola ride to the top even, or if we could do just the bottom half but do a 4-hour run. One of our ideas was just get the gondola ride to the top and then do it from Immigrant Pass.
Then we had to wait till 10 o'clock in the morning. So we're like,
right.
Well, we're not
And
going to,
we were
we're
there
not going to,
early.
yeah, we're not going to do that. So we'll
Yes.
just run to the top.
Yeah. And just now saying that, Dave, I was like, why didn't we do the gondola? Oh my gosh. So anyway, we get there. And the first thing I hear as we're unloading our packs and we're starting our walk into the Palisades Village is I hear a jackhammer. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So they're doing some renovations at the resort. Perfect time. It's summer. So I'm just hearing this jackhammer going off every couple of minutes. I'm like, okay, well, hopefully, the lower trail just gets away from that. We just don't hear that. And then we're seeing a lot of construction trucks drive up the ski mountain, white,
right where
white
Western
construction trucks.
States Trail is supposed to be.
Right. And there's a big sign that was on this tree that talked about the World Cup and Western States Trail. And I'm like, that's probably it. However, there was a closed sign.
Yeah, it was sort of roped off.
Yeah.
And they were actually, I think, either repairing or putting in a ski lift that crossed the Western States Trail.
Red Dog ski lift, I think it was.
And so they're flying helicopters back and forth. They don't want you over that.
The second
'cause
irritation.
They're carrying concrete. And so we tried to forge our own trail, which I can tell you on the map looks like it makes sense, but in person,
That makes sense.
The undergrowth is pretty
It did
substantial.
not make sense. Yeah, it did not make sense at all. We were trying to get to one side. If we could get around to one side of the trail on the World Cup Trail, we could connect to the Western States. It just didn't happen. And the irritation of the helicopter, it wasn't just one helicopter. It was several helicopters flying over, dropping equipment and supplies to make these renovations. And then we could still hear the jackhammer. And I was like, this is just not relaxing.
And even though we'd skirted our way around, it became apparent they weren't going to really want us to cross
Right.
underneath their work zone. They were already eyeing us. You could see them.
Yeah,
They're
you could say, you're not
when
supposed
those
to be
people get
here.
here, turn them around.
Yeah, for sure. So we did. We made the call and we said, you know what, let's go back. The unfortunate part about this is we have just mentioned to you that everything in Tahoe is super busy. So anything that you want to do, you need to get on the trail early, especially if it's a trail or the beach or wherever you're waiting to, get on somewhere or a parking lot at Emerald Bay. Always get there early. And when I'm saying early, we're talking about 9 a.m. or before 9 a.m. So we made the decision. We turned around. Dave and I kind of get separated. I'm kind of just mentally struggling with this whole thing because I had this dream to get on the Western States Trail and now it's over and I can't do it. And I didn't want to wait till 10 a.m. I really wanted to get a run in, a really big run in. So I was so frustrated. So I was marching way ahead of Dave. And on my way down, I heard a rustling in the bushes to the left of me. A giant bush starts shaking itself. And the next thing I know is I see a furry black thing going up a tree that branches were bare from maybe an old fire. And now branches are just falling down to the ground. And I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
Was it a moose? Did you scare a moose?
It was not a moose. I'm like, okay, I have somehow scared a bear straight up a tree.
Yeah. And I wouldn't call that a rustling because I thought there was a rock slide with the way you looked up the steep part of the hill.
Totally.
I thought a rock slide was coming down. I'm like, what is going on?
What is going on? Yeah.
But then there's a bear, and unfortunately, he picked the wrong tree because he was the rock slide coming down the tree, stripping off every branch as he fell.
It's so true. I was like,
and then you think to yourself, where's the other bear?
There was a couple other people hiking up, and we did say, hey, there is a bear in the area. And they're saying, oh, you mean like a bear sighting? We're like, no, there's actually a bear. But you know what? You expect that. You're in Tahoe. Okay. You're up in the mountains. So yeah, you should.
And for all you ultra runners, right? It's always out there.
It's always
a
out
bear,
there.
it's a moose, it's coyotes. I mean, whatever it is. That's why you go out. You like nature.
So
but we ejected out of Palisades in not a great mood. And by not a great mood, I mean Wendy was not in a great mood.
I was not in a great mood.
I am always in a great mood.
I was not in a great mood. I was bringing the whole thing down. I was really upset. This was a dream of mine, and I really had to figure out how to mentally pivot and rekindle the flame. So we started our drive back to North Star. So a 30-minute drive back to where we were staying. But then we decided, you know what, let's go back to the Brockaway Trail and see if we might be able to complete the Martis Peak Trail. But we didn't know how long that was going to take. Even on the map, it looked pretty far up there. It was like 9,000 feet to the top.
It was pretty far.
So it was I mean, you do start at the summit, but you know, it was like, it's going to be pretty far. And we had just told you that before, that we had made the wrong trail choice. So we definitely knew what trail we were supposed to be on now. So we got to the parking lot, which was a little further. So it was like 45 minutes now. And I'm stressing that there's going to be no parking, and it's getting later in the day. And also in Tahoe in the summer, there is summer storms. So you really want to get off the top of the mountain by 12 o'clock. That's kind of a rule, right? Of in mountain country, even in like Colorado, you get off the mountain by 12 o'clock. So I was kind of feeling pressured, Dave, for time. You know, I was like, man, can we do this? I don't know.
And we get there, the parking lot is full. However, someone magically pulls out. We get our space, and
you backed in. It was awesome.
It's the thing about resilience, right? When you give up, you have no chance of recovering, because it is what it is. But if you keep making decisions, you keep moving forward, you keep working at it, things are bound to work out. And so I got out of the car. My back had really locked up after 45 minutes of driving back, because I had just loosened it up in Palisades.
Yeah, and we had already done a couple of miles in Palisades.
Yeah.
I mean, we were already sweaty. I mean, we had resources were down, water was down. I don't think we had dug into nutrition yet, but we were already pretty warmed up.
But I was pretty sure I was only going to make it a short walk or hike and only make it a couple miles up, and then you do what you do. You always
take off running.
Yeah, if you say you're going to run 15 miles, I'm like, but you're missing a leg, and you're like, well, then I'm going to hop for 15 miles. So,
yeah, we took off running. We did the trail again. We'd done Brockaway. We passed the Picnic View Rock turnoff,
which is where all the people were. So once you get
90%
past that,
of the people, yeah, we're headed there. And then we kept going, and it was beautiful. I mean, the trail is so flowy through there. We got to the Martis Peak Trail actual sign to get on trail number 2, which I call trail number 2.
And Wendy said, I don't think we're going to make it to the top.
Yeah,
Plus,
I said,
it looks like there's a storm coming in. And what did I say?
And you said, we'll make it.
Yeah, go.
You said, we will, let's just go. And so we did. And it really was a beautiful trail. It was meandering. It opened up to these fantastic meadow shots. I hope we can show that in this video, because to the YouTube viewers, that would be amazing. Do you remember those meadow shots? We actually tried to drone that.
Yeah, we shot some drone footage.
Yeah.
And then it's funny, we get up to the last steep climb, and it's a fire lookout, and coming up from the other side.
Well, wait a minute. Before you share that. So we meandered to one lookout, which I thought was going to be where we were going to turn around. Do you remember when we came out and there was like a view of the lake?
Yeah,
it kind of opened up.
Looking at the lake.
And I'm like, that's probably, we should probably turn around now. But you were like, no, let's keep going, you know? And we're still climbing up this, 2,000 foot climb, maybe 3,000 foot climb up to this 9,000 feet, still going. And so we had gotten separated at the very end, because the trail actually turns into like a dirt road.
Right, and that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
We come around the corner. We've been,
on a single track
hoofing
trail.
it up this trail, and what appears is a road. I'm like, are you kidding me? I could have just driven up here.
Now, we don't know that, because the road has a crossbar around it, which looks like nobody can drive. However, we saw a little vehicle. I want to say, was it?
It was an Austin Mini Cooper.
Yeah, man. I'm like, how did that thing get up here? Anyway, I'm not even going to think about that, because I'm running right now and I have this goal to get to the top. So I pass that. It continues staying on this dirt road, and the dirt road in another crossbar where you cannot drive further up. And so we kind of walk around that, and that turns into kind of like a pavement dirt. Maybe an old road that was paved, and now it's just kind of paved dirt. So we come around the corner, and then we just keep going up, and I get to the top first, but I don't get to the top. I just get to like the saddle, and I'm looking down, and I just quickly glance around me, and I'm like, this view is so epic. David is going to freak out. And there's another spot higher than me at this fire lookout building that I didn't go to, because I was like, no, I want to share that experience of you and I seeing that together. And so I waited, and I saw you coming up, and I just started filming you, because I thought, this is so cool. This is going to be so cool for us to see this together. I wanted to wait and have that experience together.
And you're up there because I'm not that slow. Okay, I am. I am that slow, but I came across a couple of very large deer that wanted to pose for me. So
I miss those guys.
I had a deer photo shoot.
So you come up, we get up, there's like a picnic bench that was underneath a tree, and then we see this fire lookout to the right of us, and we are seeing views everywhere. We can see towards Reno. Seriously, we could see towards Reno, Mount Rose on the other side. Is a ski hill over there.
You can see Truckee.
We can see Truckee on one side.
Emigrant Pass and Palisades.
Yes.
North Star was right.
We were
off the
blown
side.
away by how high we were up.
And the entire lake. It was just, yeah.
And so not only that, and another little gift for us is Dave ventured into the fire lookout. And I made like my first step up the, I had like 2 or 3 stairs, and I remember it saying this is 100-year-old fire lookout, and I'm like, maybe not. Man, I don't think I'm going to go in the building. I don't even know if I'm going to go around, because it had this deck that was built outside around the fire lookout. So I did a couple stairs. I'm like, they're kind of creaking. They feel like they're going to fall through. Maybe not. You just forge your way up there and are checking the whole thing out. And I'm taking a step going, oh my gosh, this is absolutely gorgeous. And we did. We walked around that whole little wooden shack building up there. It was incredible. And then you went inside and just saw this magic in there.
So there was a map across the top on all 4 walls that had an outline of the mountains that you were looking
Yes.
at and the elevation and name of the mountain or pass, which was really cool. We got some good video of that, but it was nice to have that as sort of a road map.
So, yeah, right. So what Dave's saying is inside the fire lookout at the top edge of up on the, not on the ceiling, but the top edge of the walls of the fire lookout all around, someone had literally etched in all of the peaks and valleys
Into the wood
of the structure. And they were labeled with the names and the elevation. So when you looked out those windows that were inside, you could tell that that was the peak or the valley that you're looking at with the name. It was incredible, including they had etched in like the little lakes and stuff. It was amazing all the way around inside. Absolutely amazing. Hopefully we can add that shot to the video, because it was really beautiful to see that. It was incredible. Yeah.
And I know everybody's asking, but what about your back?
Yeah, how was your back? And that was just going up. I mean, we had gone like 8 miles already or something.
Yeah. So the whole day, maybe it was more than 15 miles. I don't remember between the two. But I don't want to say my back was magically healed, because I still had pain for a week. But in the first couple miles, I'm like, I'm not going to make it. The next couple of miles, I'm like, it's loosening up. By the time I got to the top, I was like, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah, you were in a great mood. I was a little nervous because I saw the clouds started moving in, and I really wanted to stay up there. There was another side of the trail that I wanted to go to, but we just didn't get time to explore it. We knew we had to get off, and back to the car was going to be at least another hour and a half or 2 hours down the mountain, and we really needed to get down. There's been a lot of fires around the Tahoe area this summer, and there's a lot of lightning. So we wanted to make sure we were just getting off and getting safe. So we ended up running down the whole thing. So we actually ran the whole thing from the parking lot all the way to the top and down. It was a huge run. And I was really like, this is a recovery run for me and my quadricep tendonitis. Oh my gosh, am I going to make it? How's my hamstring going to make it? But we did it. Yeah, we did it. I KT taped myself, so I was ready.
Always. Yeah. And if you've spent time in the mountains, especially, in the Southwest, Western United States, you know that in the summertime, those storms move into the mountains sort of unexpectedly, right?
Yeah,
it's not
you
like,
don't know.
It's
Yeah.
not like it's some storm system that's moving in. It's just the atmosphere just can't handle the heat and, the moisture and thunderstorms appear.
That's very, very true. Yeah.
So be prepared out there always to get up and get down early and
get down early. Yeah, for sure. When I was doing adventure guiding in Colorado and in any of the national parks, I would always tell, if we were doing mountain hikes, to get off the mountain by, no later than 10 o'clock, because you have the time that you have to get down. So you really want to be fully off the whole entire mountain by noon, because there's always the storms that come in that you just don't know. So yeah, very important. But Tahoe was great. Just to wrap this up, I am so grateful that we went and to get time off. I think it's great to always do a trip to get away and break up your normal rhythm of life. Go out and see something different and new. For us, we even did a mountain bike ride. We didn't even share that. We did a quick mountain bike ride. But it was just incredible. It was so nice. And Dave and I really work at being adventure athletes and doing everything that we can to make ourselves continue being available to do all the sports that we love out there, so.
Those were the major things. We did a bunch of other stuff that was incredible. Next time I want to do the glider rides. And also in Olympic Valley, there is a mountain climbing tour that they do that
looked really
all
fun.
the ladders are built into the rock, and so you don't need any specialized climbing skills, but it looked beautiful. Just so many things and not enough time. So I'll be back.
So, okay, so to wrap this up, I just, want to, Dave, do you have any practical advice or anything else you want to share for our listeners who are thinking about a trip to Tahoe?
Okay, so I'm the foodie person, right? And I'm in charge of cooking.
This is where I was going. I knew you were going to say this.
All the food, and all the cooking is me because I love it. And really the resources are in Truckee. And so it's nice to stay at Tahoe because right as you get into town from North Star to Truckee is a brand new grocery store. It's a Rayleigh's One, sort of a high-end luxury store with all of the good, the good meat and wine and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
and so that was a really nice add-on because there are grocery stores, in North Tahoe. There's a good store in Incline, a couple of Safeways. But the pressure on it from the crowds, first of all, there's no parking, and then you get in, it's elbow to elbow, and then, getting high quality stuff.
Yeah.
Can be difficult. So that was my tip.
My tip also for y'all is just get out there early. Also, if you want to do sunset on the beach, you don't have to be there at 7 a.m. to claim a spot for sunset. Of course not. There was spots. We did do sunset on the beach at Kings Beach. We went down and we grabbed a sunset spot. And those spots do open up in the evening for sunsetters.
For sure, because people are there during the day swimming and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. So at 6 o'clock, 5 or 6 o'clock at night, a lot of that stuff starts to empty out.
Yeah, so don't think that you can't grab those spots and feel afraid that you can't do that. So we are excited, though, to kind of wrap this up because in the next episode, I just want to shout out that we're going to be talking about how your brain is affecting your relationship. And Dave and I have kind of been toggling back and forth between our power couple content and our adventure. So the next one is totally different. We're excited to talk to you about that because we have our program launching, Speak to Connect. We're excited about that coming up very soon. So
and passionate about that topic, especially brain health.
Brain health. Yeah.
We're both certified brain health coaches from Amen Clinics. Shout out to
Daniel
Amen.
Yay.
And that was really born out of a TBI, which
and my story we'll tell later.
That story we'll tell later. But this isn't some unfamiliar territory for us. It's something we're super passionate about.
Absolutely. So to help us out, we would love it if you could rate us on Spotify. Because we are a brand new podcast, we would love to get a rating and we'd love to get a review from you on Apple Podcasts. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know maybe an adventure that you'd like us to take and check out on this, or follow us on any of the social media, or you can watch for updates on my website, wendyj.com, or connect with me, DM me, talk to us, let us know you're out there. We would love to do a shout out and just let us know adventures maybe you are out there training for or looking forward to us chatting about. Final thoughts, Dave?
No, a shout out to Riverside. This is our first episode streaming on Riverside as opposed to the way we were doing it before.
Yeah.
So we'll have a complete breakdown of how we feel this platform is working after a couple of episodes.
We will. Yeah. Dave's been really gracious about putting this whole podcast room together, spending a lot of time. We're still dialing it in. If you see things on this video that you think we could improve on, and lighting, cameras, please leave us a comment below because we are trying to dial all of that in for y'all. So we are newbies here and we're always learning from everybody else as we're consuming YouTube videos and other podcasters out there doing this too. So we're trying to get that going on. But we just want to say, hey, you know what? Thank you for joining us on this epic journey through the Tahoe experience as we hiked, we biked, we paddled, we ran our hearts out. And, just remember that it's so important to also take time off. And I was so excited to have extra recovery time to enjoy the adventures with your loved ones, as you're out there, and always keeping the fire and the flame moving through you inside, because that's so important. We want to make sure that we're shining brightly, because every day is a miracle that you wake up and open your eyes. You have a gift to do something magical with your day. So keep exploring out there, stay true to yourself, and we always like to just say aloha.